Today we are going to talk about shooting video on the iPhone 17 Pro. I shoot many of my videos for both my YouTube channel and social media on iPhone, and this video is no exception. Right now you are seeing footage from the main camera of this phone. I'm outputting the image to an iPad Air and can see all the settings in the Blackmagic app. Of course, I'll also show footage from real outdoor conditions. I made a special trip to the park and filmed a lot of material there, which you will see in this review. Why do I consider a phone the best tool for a blogger and content creator? Because it's small, it always fits in your pocket, and unlike a camera, you are not too lazy to take it with you. Plus, you don't have to mess with settings or understand how everything works. You pull it out of your pocket and start shooting without any preparation. In this review, I will compare my experience using the iPhone 13 Pro and the 17 Pro. I haven't used the intermediate generations, so I will share my impressions specifically compared to the 13 Pro. Let's start with the selfie camera. It has been significantly improved compared to all previous models. In general, this is something we've been waiting for from Apple for a long time, because in my opinion there haven't really been any changes since the iPhone 13. First of all, they increased the sensor size. This made it possible to get a cleaner, sharper image with less noise, which in theory should help when shooting in low light. But I will say right away that in such conditions the quality is still mediocre. Just look at how noisy and blurry the image is during night shooting. Secondly, the sensor has become square, which now allows you to hold the phone vertically while still getting horizontal photos or videos. And this is how the selfie camera shoots video. In good weather it produces excellent quality. Actually, I have a separate video shot entirely on the selfie camera of the iPhone 17 Pro, where I showed that even now this camera can deliver good quality if you work properly with lighting, shooting settings and sound. Also, the 17 Pro introduced a picture-in-picture mode, where we can combine two cameras in one frame. For example, we can place the selfie camera image inside footage from the main or ultra-wide camera, and we can also move this frame around different parts of the screen. Now let's move on to the main camera on the back. Keep in mind that this camera will always be the best one, no matter which iPhone model you have. That's why it's preferable for almost any type of shooting. For example, I am shooting this YouTube video with it right now, and you can judge the quality yourself. Compared to the iPhone 13 Pro, there is no dramatic difference. If you don't look closely, the image is hard to distinguish. But one thing I noticed is that they changed the image processing profile. Now the transition between bright and dark areas are smoother, and if necessary you can slightly adjust brightness and contrast in editing thanks to the larger amount of information in the shadows and highlights. And honestly, this is a huge plus, because before, if you wanted to shoot video for further editing, you had to use ProRes or log and shoot through the Blackmagic app, which wasn't always suitable for quick shooting. Now even footage shot in the built-in camera app works for simple post-processing. And by the way, here's another thing the built-in camera app is good for. I often say that to get professional-looking video, you need to lock your shooting settings – frame rate, shutter speed and ISO. But actually this isn't always the right approach, and sometimes it can even be harmful. For example, if you are shooting travel videos and need to move from a dark room into a bright street or vice versa, then you will have to change your locked settings, and you want to be able to shoot everything in one take. And if you don't change the locked settings, your footage will either be overexposed or underexposed as the lighting changes. That's where the built-in iPhone camera app comes in handy with its automatic settings, and you immediately get good results because the camera automation understands which settings are optimal for changing scenes. And this is how the main camera shoots outside during the day. Excellent dynamic range, good stabilization and background blur, and all the other parameters look excellent. Now let's move on to the ultra-wide camera. This is the weakest camera on the back because it has a small sensor and poor light sensitivity. But of course, if you shoot during the day, the video still look quite good. This is how footage looks when shooting with this camera. You can judge daytime quality yourself. Night shooting examples will come later in this review. Even though it's one of the weakest camera, I really like it for several reasons. First, because it allows you to shoot first-person perspective shot. You can wear a special neck mount, attach the phone and get a POV angle. This is useful when you want to show yourself doing something with your hands. You can also use this camera for action scenes. You can mount the phone on a bicycle, board, motorcycle, helmet and so on to shoot active sports. So in some ways a phone can replace an action camera. The main thing is to use a shock-proof case so the phone doesn't break. The second reason I like shooting with this camera is because it captures a huge amount of space, and when filming yourself you always know you will fit in the frame. At the same time you can quickly turn the camera around and start showing your surroundings. This allows you to shoot more dynamic, engaging and interesting videos while talking to viewers. Again, all of this is easy because you know everything will fit in the frame. This camera is also great for macro shots, meaning you can bring an object very close and film it in great detail. The ultra-wide camera in the iPhone 17 Pro wasn't dramatically improved compared to recent generations, but compared to the iPhone 13 there are differences. It performs slightly better in low light and overall the image has become a bit sharper. Regardless of your goals, you may always need additional materials for editing – photos, videos, music, effects and templates. If you cannot create them yourself, use Envato Elements. It's a huge library where with one subscription you get unlimited access to millions of creative resources for any tasks and projects. And if you don't find the needed video materials or music, you can create them yourself in seconds using the content generation tool. Follow the link under the video and take your videos to a professional level. But what they really upgraded compared to all previous models is the telephoto camera. Now it shoots much better than before. This camera is perfect for travel videos because you don't have to get close to objects to film them. Of course, you can also use it to film yourself. For example, in the park I often use this camera because its focal length makes facial features look more natural without strong distortion. And overall, footage from the telephoto camera probably looks a bit more professional because this type of lens is often used in television and filmmaking, so in a way the videos feel more cinematic. Also note the blur and bokeh. They look really nice and again add a cinematic feel to the footage. We can also use a telephoto camera to photograph small objects. It's not a macro mode like an ultra-wide angle camera, but it's suitable for photographing, for example, insects at a distance. By the way, in some situations in the park I use the Blackmagic app to monitor shooting on a second phone. And I noticed that in the Blackmagic camera app we can switch between cameras during recording. For example, from 0.5x to 1x and then to 4x. For some reason you can't do this in the standard iPhone camera app, but in Blackmagic you can. Also note that we now have intermediate zoom options. We have 1x, which is 24mm, then 2x, which is 48mm, 4x, which is 100mm, and 8x, which is 200mm. And here's the point of these intermediate options. When we shoot photo or video at 1x, we can later zoom in during post-processing. That's called cropping. But when we do that, we stretch the image and the quality gets worse. When we use these intermediate values directly during shooting in the standard app, the footage gets processed and enhanced immediately, so the result is slightly better than stretching the image in post-production. Therefore, if you want the highest quality while zooming in, it's better to do it during shooting. One of the new features introduced in the iPhone 17 Pro is Action Mode. Look at how well this feature works. We can run while still getting very smooth footage. Even if you are not a professional videographer, you can still get smooth video without shakes or jerks. In fact, you no longer need an electronic gimbal. This mode works on all cameras except the selfie camera, but when using it, the resolution gets cropped down to 2.8K because the remaining pixels are used for stabilization. As for night and evening shooting, all cameras except the main one struggle quite a bit. They are still not good enough to record clean and sharp video in such conditions. So if you need to shoot in low light, use the main 1x camera. Also at night on all cameras you can notice lens flares and light reflections, which can sometimes be pretty annoying. As for battery life, it's excellent. For example, I arrived at the park with 90% battery. I shot all footage in 4K 60 FPS, used screen mirroring to a second phone, reviewed footage, spent some time on social media, and by the end of the day I still had 4% left. They also improved heat dissipation. There is now a vapor chamber that spreads heat, allowing you to shoot long takes without the phone overheating badly. The screen has also been improved. Even under sunlight, the brightness is high enough that you can see it clearly and shoot comfortably. I use my iPhone with a Ugreen Case. It's an inexpensive case, around $10. Nothing special, but it feels nice and looks good. I also constantly use a Ulanzi mini tripod. It's a super convenient little thing for quickly placing the phone on any surface and starting to shoot. I also often use a selfie monitor to take pictures of myself. I have several of them for different purposes. And I also often use AirPods to record sound in my videos. Their huge advantage is speed compared to a wireless microphone, which you need to take out, connect to the phone and attach to your clothes. With AirPods you just put them in your ears, they automatically connect to your phone and you start filming. Of course, they are not a full replacement for a professional microphone, but for simple videos they work perfectly fine. By the way, all links to the equipment I use will be in the description below the video. And now let's test the built-in microphone. Right now I am recording with voice isolation mode enabled. Now I turn it off and the difference is huge. Of course, the noise reduction mode somewhat reduces voice quality, but when you are shooting in conditions like this and absolutely need to record, it's a good option. If we sum it all up, the iPhone 17 Pro is a logical continuation of what was already done before. There are no revolutionary breakthroughs in video shooting here, they are simply slowly improving things that should have been improved long ago. At the same time, if you know how to use this tool, you can already get amazing videos right now. Watch this playlist where I share a lot of useful information about it. As always, dare to create and see you soon!